We are continuing today in the Hakdam, in the introduction of Mesillas Yesharim. The Ramchal writes as follows. He says, Re'eh, ki ein divrei hachasidus ve'inyane hayira v'ha'ava v'taras halev dvarim mutba'im ba'adam. Here the Ramchal makes a dramatic statement. He explains the notion of chasidus, personal piety, the concept of yira, awe of God, reverence of Hashem, ahava, a sense of love of the Ribono Shel Olam, and taras, like purity of heart. He says these are not qualities or behaviors which are naturally embedded in man. Actually, tzarchu emtzam miknosam el yimtzu osam ba'atzum kimo shimtzu kol tnuosem tevios. So Ramchal essentially says like this: there are different types of behaviors or even emotions, feelings that we have. Some of them which are innate, some activities which by definition are innate to man, and others which must be acquired. See, he explains what are examples of innate behaviors. Kashena vayikitza, the notion of going to sleep, waking up. Hara vasava, being satiated or being hungry. V'chol shar hatunos hachakukos b'tivenu. So in other words, no one has to learn how to be tired. No one has to learn how to be alert. No one has to learn how to be hungry or be sleepy. These are things that are innate. He says something amazing. This stands in contradistinction to certain spiritual qualities. For example, being a chassid, reaching a level of personal piety, being the kind of person who loves Hashem, who reveres Hashem, a person who possesses purity of heart. These are not necessarily innate qualities. These are things that have to be learned. A person needs mechanisms and a person needs strategies in order to be able to acquire these feelings, these behaviors, these spiritual states. So this is really an incredible idea that Ramchal is expressing over here. The concept that there are certain aspects of spiritual refinement that are not natural or innate to man. And if you think about it, it's really profound. So what Ramchal is saying, the notion of being pious, personal piety, chasidus, the notion of loving Hashem, revering Hashem, purity of leiv, these are of heart, these are not necessarily things that are innate. Now, just because they're not innate doesn't mean they cannot be acquired. But in order to acquire them, one must employ different strategies. Of course, you know where the Ramchal is going with this. The entire Sefer, this entire book, this entire Sefer, Mesillas Yesharim, is there to provide us with the strategies to acquire these most important spiritual accomplishments. Imkein, eifo eich lo yitzarech lehotzi zman al ha'ir nazeh, ladas amidas hadvarim v'ladas haderech liknoso l'kaimam. Therefore, again, if these spiritual qualities are not innate and I have to acquire them, I have to spend time to figure out how to acquire them. In other words, once you tell me something is not innate, by definition it means I have to learn it. Once I have to learn it, that is going to require an investment of time. And ultimately, again, how will you ever find this wisdom if you don't seek it out? So here the Ramchal is making the case that if I want to acquire these spiritual qualities, I have to invest the time to make it happen. So the Ramchal says, now that we've also established, now his lashon over here, his wording over is very interesting. Anyone who seeks truth understands certain things, namely what he calls Tmimos ha'avoda. Now, the Ramchal is going to point out, he's going to use certain terms here, which we're going to define later on in this sefer. But right now, we'll just translate them. Every person who seeks out truth knows that ultimately, again, understands the need for Tmimos ha'avoda, literally, again, purity or completion of service. This represents the idea of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu not in a way just to get by, but ultimately serving Hashem in a manner of completion. Chovas ta'arasa, that ultimately when I serve Hashem, I want to serve Hashem with a sense of purity. Nikyona literally means, again, a certain sense of cleanliness. Now, he doesn't mean physical cleanliness, he means spiritual cleanliness. Shezula seila, if I'm missing any of these qualities, which again, right now, we don't know what the Ramchal means by these things because we haven't yet defined them. But without them, a person's avoda, eina nisratzes vadai klal, is not really worthy. an avoda, and a service of Hashem that lacks these qualities, which we have yet to define, doesn't really measure up. Because so let me just translate this a little bit over here. What Ramchal is saying is like this. At the end of the day, so let's build. Now that I know that there are certain qualities that I need to cultivate for my own spiritual success, and I also now know that many of those important qualities are not innate. They have to be learned. So how can I justify not investing the time in order to learn them? He says something amazing. What will we answer Hashem after 120? If we forsake something that is so important, the essence of what Hashem asks of us. See, what Ramchal is pointing out over here is something amazing. After 120, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't necessarily judge us for what we have or we haven't accomplished, because often accomplishment is beyond our reach. What Hashem does judge us for is for the effort we expended. So therefore, again, if I know something is important, then I have to put in the time to try to accomplish it. And if I don't put in the time to accomplish it, then that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu holds me accountable for. Haytochin shiga v'yamol sichlenu bechakiros asher lo neschayavnu bam bepelpulam asher lo yetze lanu shum primehem v'dinim asher inam shayachim lanu umas. So again, how could it be, says the Ramchal, that we spend so much of our lives, right, on bodies of knowledge that don't necessarily matter, or that we're not obligated to learn, or for that matter, again, with discussions that don't produce any tangible results, v'dinim asher einam shayachim lanu, or with laws that are not applicable to us, u'mashechayavim anu lebar'enu chavarabba, but yet that which we are responsible to our God, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, nazvenu lehergel v'nanichenu lemitzas anashim milumada. So this is really so incredibly profound. So kind of just to give you the general translation, what the Ramchal is saying. The Ramchal is saying at the end of the day, if something is so important, I should say, the importance of something is truly measured by the amount of time I'm willing to invest in it. So if I believe that reaching the level of Chasidus, reaching the level of personal piety, reaching a level of love of Hashem, of service of Hashem, of reverence of Hashem, purity of heart is important, and I recognize at the same time that these things are not innate, I have to put in the time. I have to put in the time to learn about these things, how to acquire these things. And if I don't put in the time, says the Ramchal, that's ultimately what I'm held accountable for. And here the Ramchal teaches us this incredible idea. You know, if at the end of the day I don't become a chassid, if I don't become a pious person, or maybe I don't reach a level of avas Hashem or yiras Hashem, love of Hashem, or reverence of Hashem, if I don't reach that level, but I tried to reach it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is happy with that, because I tried. But if I don't reach those levels, because I never put in the time, I never put in the effort, that, says the Ramchal, is fundamentally inexcusable. What the Ribono Shel Olam asks us for is effort. And if something is truly important, make sure to put in the effort to accomplish those noteworthy goals. We'll stop over here for today. Look forward to continuing this limud with everyone tomorrow.